So there's a picture of King Neb as we've seen before. So that's really interesting because we want to get into the head of a Babylonian. That's what we're doing this for. We want to find out, what's this gold image really all about? Is it just a statue of gold that Neb sort of thought, you know what, Daniel, I know your God said that the head of that other statue was me, but I'm going to go all gold here. My kingdom's going to last forever. It's going to be gold right to the toes, and I'm going to defy this God of yours. Okay, so this background information gives us what it really means to build this gold statue. It's more than just his pride here. It's way more. What's interesting here is the priests of Babylon wore these amulets or medallions on chains around their necks to signify the system. These medallions are made of pure gold because gold is the colour of the sun, and they worshipped the sun, and Marduk was the god of the sun. You have the 36 gods of the pantheon represented in these small squares inside a larger square. So each god's in there, and they're inside a larger square. So the smaller squares indicate each god, and the larger square indicates Marduk. So the little guys are inside Marduk because he's the grand poobah. Often under the large square, you would find the number 666. This is pretty fascinating stuff. I only found this 4 days ago. I had no idea about this sort of stuff. I thought, wow, that's really cool. The ancients called gold the dew of the sun because they believed that it used to drip down from the sun onto earth. And it was really, really a powerful thing. Babylon was truly the kingdom of gold. It was very accurately portrayed. It's in the Bible as well. Isaiah 4:14. It's no coincidence that it's actually written there. It was very accurate because they were very seriously into their gold. Now, what's really interesting about all this is this connection with these gods, with this 666 business. Is it coincidence? Is it not? And we're going to look about this other stuff in future. The statue was 60 times 6. Yeah? That's 360. So it's perfectly in their ideology of symmetry and time. This is the solar symbol in Babylon. It was an image to the sun god Marduk. So whoever worshipped this image would be worshipping a sun god. It wasn't just a statue. We need to find out some background as to what it all meant. It's very, very deep as to what Nebuchadnezzar did here. All right. The entire theme of Daniel chapter 3 is about worship. The word worship appears 10 times in chapter 3. 10 times. Daniel and his 3 friends had been educated in the Babylonian universities. Don't forget that. They knew all this setrometrical stuff. They knew about all these little squares that the priests wore. They saw them. They understood what this all meant. So let's go to question 2 and keep all this in mind because it kind of enlarges what we're doing here. So we're going to read chapter 3, verses 2 and 3, carrying on from where we left off. So who can pick that up? Are you there, Paris? Could you do chapter 2 and 3, please?
Verse 2 and 3. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the councillors, the sheriffs, and all rulers of the provinces to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the councillors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together under dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. They stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. So I need to drink.
All right. They stood before the image. Okay. Who were invited to the dedication of this image? Fill in the gaps. The satraps, the administrators, the governors. Give you a couple of seconds to fill in there. The councillors. Not enough space to write those big words. Yeah. The treasurers. The judges. The magistrates. and all the officials of the provinces. Interesting. Very interesting. While you're filling those out, I'll read the note. Most key leaders in the realm of Babylon were invited to the dedication of the statue. There had recently been a rebellion in Babylon, and the king questioned the loyalty of his subjects. The dedication of the image would be an opportunity for everyone in the realm to pledge their loyalty to the government. Not to bow down would be considered treason. Perhaps there were other Jews present as well, but only 3 stood firm for God. Okay. Who is attending this worship ceremony? We just wrote them down. Who are these guys? Yeah. Pretty important people for a province. I mean, you've got them all. Administrators, governors, councillors, treasurers, judges. You've got the finance department there. You've got the treasury there. You've got your law courts and your magistrates there, or your officials, your police, your premier, your prime minister, your councillors. They're all there. Government officials. Church and state together. Interesting. The religious aspect of this, of course, was, we've just learned, it's very, very religious, this gold business. It talks about all their gods, the whole 360, the whole 36. This is a religious event, hugely so. And yet all these state people are here. They've actually been told to be here. What does that say? Do you find that interesting?
What, that he had all the important people there?
Yeah. I mean, from a religion point of view, think about that. With the American system, for example, the Constitution, church and state are separate. The government can't... Well, I've got it on the screen. Let's go there. What do you call that? Print screen this here. US Constitution, the First Amendment says the Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress or grievances. So basically, in the Congress, in the Constitution, the American Congress, religion is separate to government. They can't force you to do... You can be what any religious belief you want to be. You can practice it without any recompense from the government. Now, we know there's a huge push to change this and have a Rulers Act going on right now. And we're going to see more about that a little bit later on. But there's a huge push for those of us who didn't know that they want to abolish this thing and have church and state together. For very good reason, which we're going to see. Well, that's America. What about Australia? What's our constitution say about our religious liberty? Do we have one? Well, we do. Here we go, right here. Parliament of Australia. Conviction, Chapter 4. Conviction and Compassion. A report on freedom of religion and belief. And after reading this very long document, which was very, very boring, I found this section down here. Section 160 of the Australian Constitution specifies that the Commonwealth shall not make any law for establishing any religion, or for imposing any religious observance, or for prohibiting the free exercise of any religion, and no religious test shall be required as a qualification for any office or public trust under the Commonwealth. We have the same constitutional law in our constitution. So church and state are separate in this country. So what do we find striking about Neb here? He's got the magistrates, the court officials, the judges, the treasurers, the councillors. What have they got to do with religion? Why are they called together here? Is that an issue? Park that. We'll come back. Let's go to question 3. We keep reading verses 3 to 5. I know we read 3, but let's read it again, please. If you're there, Rosie, we'll come back to you. So read verses 3 to 5. Let's keep reading, please.
Chapter 3?
To 5.
3 to 5, okay. So the satraps, the administrators, the governors, the councillors, the treasurers, the judges, the magistrates, and all the officials of the provinces gathered together for the dedication of the image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up, and they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a herald cried aloud, "To you it is commanded, O peoples, nations, and languages, that at the time you hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, lyre, and psaltery, in symphony with all kinds of music, you shall fall down and worship the gold image that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up."
Okay. What have they been commanded to do?
To worship, fall down and worship.
Fall down and worship this big statue image that King Neb has put up. Now, do you think it's a little bit odd that these magistrates, judges, treasurers have to do this? Or it's just because King Neb was such a powerful king that he pushed his weight around, you guys are going to do it regardless? It's odd. It's odd. Let's just say that at least. It's odd. All right? The note says, notice that false worship was the issue faced in Daniel 3. The issue was that of worshipping the image. Park all this, it's very important. Let's keep going. Question 4, verse 6, please. Stephanie, yes, please. Verse 6.
And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning, fiery furnace.
All right.
Therefore,
Just 6, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. So answer the question there. What penalty will be received by those who fail to worship the image? They'll be cast in the midst of a burning, fiery furnace. You'll be burnt alive, basically. You'll be burnt alive. You'll get thrown in a fiery furnace, like the image on the screen shows, but we're not streaming anyway, so it doesn't really matter. What a shame. Fiery furnace. Okay, so there's a penalty. They're commanded to do it, and there's a penalty of death if you don't do it. Yeah? Is that pretty clear? All right. Let's keep going and see what comes up next. Let's keep reading. It's a big read now. It's 7 to 12. Thanks, Barry. Can you read 7 to 12?
Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore, at that time, certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spoke and said to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, the sackbut, psaltery and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth, that he should be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, or worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
All right. What's just happened here?
Shadrach and his mates are going, no,
They
we're going to do that.
They're getting dobbed in, for starters. They do not serve your gods or worship the god image you've set up, is the answer there. Just read the note. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego must have stood out very prominently when the entire crowd bowed down in the sound of that music. It would have been very easy to rationalise that they weren't really worshipping the image and just bow down. This would have shown their loyalty to the king, but they knew that loyalty to God was involved, therefore they would not bow down.
Can I just interrupt quickly?
You may.
I was just thought of going back to Exodus 20,
Right.
verses 1, 2,
We are.
3. And you're going to do that?
Right now.
Right.
Thank you. So Remember what we learnt in the beginning of the Babylonian system, the 360, the 36, the gods, the time of space, the 10 degrees, the 10 days. Daniel and his mates knew all that. They were educated in the Babylonian University. They understood this stuff. So they knew exactly what it meant to bow to this image. It wasn't just a thing of a gesture or kneel down and tie your shoelace and pretend. They knew what it meant. They were going to worship a piece of metal as a deity and not their God. So they knew exactly what was going on and they stood fast. What's interesting is here, who accused the Jews? Certain Chaldeans. Who were the Chaldeans in the time of Babylon? Do we know? I think I covered this.
You have covered it.
I have covered it.
You definitely covered it.
They were the learned ones. They were the lawyers. They were the solicitors. They were the magistrates. They were the learned ones, the Chaldeans. They were the ones above the sorcerers and the magicians. They were the learned ones. So they were the officials of government law. So the officials of government law see three guys doing something that the government, King Neb, has told them to do. They're not doing it, and they're being dobbed in. They're being spoken to. Have we seen this sort of behaviour in recent times? Where if we don't do something the government tells us to do, there's consequences. Yeah, I think we have.
They were happy to dob them in because they were jealous of them.
Okay.
They hated them because
They were watching them.
they were from another nation.
Yeah.
Yet they held high positions.
Yeah.
So they didn't like them at all.
No, not at all. Very interesting. Interesting how this is going on 2,600 years ago. All right, we're going to tie this in a bit later on if we get there. We're going to do a bit of Revelation 13 as well at the end. All right, as Barry alluded for us, let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Second book of the Bible, Jen, the very beginning.
I'm already there.
Oh, you're all over it. Exodus 20 verses 4 to 6. That'll be Stewie. Thanks, Stewie. Let's hear it.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers and of the children, and of the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
You see a couple of differences here, two camps. Those who don't follow him aren't part of him, and those that do follow him by keeping his commandments are those that love reciprocally. So, what was the first part of that? You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is above the earth or in the earth. Where's gold found? Or under the water. In other words, sculptures or carvings of animals, of whales, whatever. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. In other words, worship them. So, question 6. What commandment forbade false worship that these boys knew? Which one's that one?